This isn't gonna change what happened.
I don't care. He killed my mom.
Marvel films have usually been known to give us a sense of comfort and joy while watching them because they aim to please their viewers and also make their producers a ton of money.
I don't feel so good.
However, there have been times when they've gone off script and given us some of the most outrageous moments ever, and I'm here to cover them today with the top 25 most shocking Marvel scenes across film and TV. This is probably the saddest I'll ever feel for AI. Vision may have been a robot, but he had feelings and wanted to live a happy life with Wanda, no matter how creepy that relationship may have sounded to a layman. Unfortunately, that love story would never come to its fulfillment, and it's all thanks to the Mad Titan. Infinity War had plenty of scenes that made the audience go WTF, but this moment right here is what really pushed us over the line. It was hard enough to watch Wanda take the life of her own lover, and that too in such a dramatic fashion, but then Thanos decided, nah, I need that stone, so Vision's gonna get 2 funerals today. Bro literally turned back time just to brutally end Vision once again, and the fact that he did it right in front of the Scarlet Witch right after the massive sacrifice she made was just colder than Drake's diss against Kendrick Lamar. The Mad Titan even gave Wanda a bit of a speech right before doing the deed, which is even worse because, come on man, who the heck wants to hear a lecture from the man who brings their loved one back to life only to mockingly end them again?
We are out of time.
I can't.
Yes, you can. You can.
Really is good to have.
Man, I know I'm a certified crying boy, but if you felt nothing during this scene, then you don't have a heart. Rocket Raccoon had always been presented as this funny talking animal whose sole purpose in the MCU was to give us the occasional joke and make us laugh. Of course, James Gunn changed all of that when he gave us the third Guardians movie, but damn, I didn't expect it to hit me so hard. Watching Rocket bond with Lila Chiefs and Floor was such a sweet, innocent moment, but then with the High Evolutionary coming in and taking Lila's life, we were presented with a moment so shocking and devastating that it changed our entire perspective on the character. You can feel the pain in his screams of agony, and the fact that the guards took down Chiefs and Floor as well only made this all the more unbearable for the Rocket. I mean, we finally got to know why he named himself this way, and that helped us understand the character so much better. But dear God, what the High Evolutionary did to him, I wouldn't even pray upon my worst enemy. This is probably why I enjoyed watching that dude meet his end so much more than any other MCU villain.
Back in the cage. Rocket, please!
Where are the stones?
Gone. Reduced to atoms.
You used them 2 days ago.
We used the stones to destroy the stones.
I'm still a little bit confused about how they presented Thor's powers in the final 2 Avengers films. He just awakened his powers in Ragnarok, but got owned by Thanos as if he was just a puny god. Then he went ahead and got Stormbreaker, after which he was able to overpower Thanos with so much ease that even all 6 Infinity Stones couldn't help him. So why on earth did he not just go for the head? Heck, it didn't even need to do that. Bro could have just gone for the armor, finished the story right off then and there. But hey, if he did that, then the MCU wouldn't have made another $2.8 billion at the box office. So I guess that's fair, isn't it? Anyway, the moment that really came as a shock to me was when he instantly chopped off Thanos' head after he got caught by the rest of the Avengers and revealed that he got rid of the Infinity Stones. The God of Thunder must have felt like such a waste after hearing this, because the team went through all that effort only to be a shadow of the villain they once fought. I can imagine how frustrating that would have felt for Thor, but even then, to chop off his head without any further questioning was a little bit too much. was frankly a little bit concerned with the way things were going to go for the God of Mischief in the second season, because even though I enjoyed season 1 of Loki, there were certain indicators that they might go for the classic MCU bait and switch model once again. Luckily, the season finale gave Loki the ending he was always meant to savor, and even if it came at a great cost. To save the multiple timelines and fix it all up is definitely a God level flex, but it doesn't hit the same way when only a handful of people know what you've done, not just for your own universe, but all of them. See, I understand why he went ahead and did this, because the creators wanted to give one of the MCU's OG legacy characters a fitting end. However, this was a massive shocker, because we didn't really know what was going to happen until it actually happened. Like, if you were to tell me that this was the same Loki who tried to wreak havoc on New York with the Chitauri army and the Tesseract, then I normally wouldn't have believed you. Well, I suppose that's what you call a solid character arc, eh?
Wanda, I want to, but at this point, I'm ignoring statistics entirely.
She recast Pietro?
WandaVision was a unique kind of show with the whole 50s style TV show vibes, but just as the reality of this world came to shock us all, so did one particular character, whose appearance could only be described as the MCU messing with its audience. It's none other than Pietro Maximoff, who randomly shows up at Wanda's doorstep to greet her. Normally, you just play this down to the fact that Wanda is probably trying to expand her fantasy even further, but the fact it was Evan Peters and not Aaron Taylor Johnson playing the role kind of messed with all the fans, including yours truly. This moment had everyone scratching their heads, and they took to all possible social media channels to post their own conspiracy theories as to how such a thing could even have been possible. Mind you, the multiverse was still relatively new, with only Endgame having somewhat explored that plot point, so this really baffled the viewers to a whole other level. Of course, we found out that he was one of the captives in Wanda's world and didn't even remotely connect with the actual Pietro or even Peter from the X-Men universe. This was basically a mean prank that Marvel played on us, and, well, we all fell for it.
Do you want me to take that again?
I'm sorry?
You want me to hold babies?
Don't be silly. Vision, let's let Agnes give it a try.
I think we might have had it wrong the first time around.
What do you mean?
Kamala, there's something different in your genes, like a mutation.
Okay, so we're hitting on a hat-trick of Disney Plus shows here, even though the only thing I fondly remember from Miss Marvel is the way they used The Weeknd's Blinding Lights as the trailer's official song. However, there was one particular moment that had fans really shook and searching for more right at the end of the show. It's when Bruno has a word with Gamala after she finally takes ownership of the fact that she's the hero of her city. He said something really odd, which a lot of fans, including myself, had noticed. He said that Gamala's genes had some kind of odd mutation, which shouldn't be too much of a shocker if it was any other franchise. However, with Disney's acquisition of 21st Century Fox, this immediately tied into the fact that the X-Men were going to be part of the MCU. Simply using the word mutant wouldn't have been enough to gauge our interest, but then the musical score in the background also changed to a rather familiar tone, and that's when we realized that Kamala Khan could very well be a mutant.
He must be Peter.
Yeah.
I'm Liz's dad. Correct. Hell of a grip.
You know, when you're a teenager and you start dating cute girls, you need to be careful of their dads because they're very protective of their daughters. Now, if you're Spider-Man, then you also have to worry about the fact that they're misusing alien technology to make easy money. Peter Parker must have gotten the shock of his life when he saw that Liz's dad was none other than Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, aka Batman. Oops, sorry, wrong franchise, my bad. Anyway, the reason this scene hit so hard is because even we as the audience had no idea about it until Toomes opened the door and greeted our boy with an uncharacteristic smile.
He must be Peter.
Now, he didn't know that Peter knows, but Peter knew that he couldn't afford to let him know that he knows. Of course, that tongue twister ends up happening regardless, but boy, this parental revelation came so abruptly that it completely changed the narrative of the film. Imagine being an up-and-coming superhero and you find out that the girl you're hitting on is the daughter of your current enemy. Bro had to make a choice between justice for his people and justice for his heart. Well, for a teenage boy, it's not really the heart that he's thinking with when he takes a girl out to prom, but hey, this is a PG-13 film, so we've got to play within the rules.
Does she know?
Know what?
I'll kill you. And everybody you love. I'll kill you dead. That's what I'll do to protect my family, Pete.
Come on, here we go.
MCU version of Quicksilver never really stuck the same way Evan Peters did in the X-Men franchise. That's kind of why everyone just wants his version to come back in the MCU, especially after what I just spoke about in the WandaVision entry. However, even Pietro had a scene or two that people remembered, and the most impactful one is when he saves Hawkeye and the kid from a barrage of bullets. Now, look, I know he made the ultimate sacrifice here, but if you're so fast, couldn't you have just avoided the ammo as well? Just look at how sad you made your sister over there. Honestly, I was more baffled and shocked when I saw this, because all that was going in my head was, come on, he could have dodged that as well. Well, Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen didn't have to be apart from each other for long, because we saw them as a married couple in Godzilla right after that. Maybe Ro was tired of being a natural brother and wanted to switch it up by playing the husband. Listen, I know this movie technically came out a year after Godzilla, but it's still kind of funny if you think about it.
I should have known you would do something like this.
Mom, what are you doing?
Moon Knight wasn't a typical MCU show, and even though I personally felt that it could have been a bit better, I was still happy to see some kind of creativity being shown for once in a franchise that was running out of ideas after Endgame. Now, when it comes to the duo of Stephen and Mark, it's a rather complicated relationship, especially with the whole split personality plot point. However, all this time we're just thinking that Stephen was the main character, and Mark was just some kind of badass alter ego to help him fight bad guys and angry Egyptian gods. However, we were all in for a shocking reveal when episode 5 showed us that Mark was actually the original character, and he created Stephen as a way to cope with the loss of his brother, as well as his abusive mom. Now, none of us were expecting to see this, and while it does add a lot of context to the show, it still left me reeling. More than anything else, I was surprised that they managed to trick me for so long, so I've got to hand it to the MCU for pulling off something that I quite frankly had thought they didn't have the ability to do.
You were supposed to keep him safe.
Stephen, let's go.
This is all your fault. This is all your fault.
Stephen, come here. Come here! Stop, don't go up there!
Bloody hell, bloody hell.
Don't move. You're not him, the Mandarin, the real guy.
Where? Where's the Mandarin? Where is it?
Whoa, he's here. My name's Trevor Slattery.
What are you? What are you, decoy? You're a double, right?
Well, not understudy, no, absolutely not.
Oh man, this is actually one of the reasons why fans ended up disliking Tony Stark's final solo film, but even so, that doesn't take away from the fact that the Mandarin reveal was one of the most shocking moments in the MCU. Just think about it. If you've got this dude acting as if he owns the world, and he can end it all if he wanted to, but then he gets found out, he's just an actor trying to get an easy payout.
My name's Trevor Slattery.
What are you?
Well, not understudy, no, absolutely not. Don't hurt the face.
Even Iron Man himself was bamboozled because he went through all of this trouble to break into his hideout. That too, without his suit. Bro must have felt so insulted when he realized that the Mandarin is nothing more than a British bugger who's got nothing to do than play a role for an evil scientist. Sure, there were some political connections to this as well because of certain actions that were taken by the US government at the time, but I think that the fans were pretty clear when they said they didn't like how this plot point played out. I do agree that the Mandarin was a much more respected character, like the proper portrayal we got in Shang-Chi, but I also think that everyone was upset over the MCU being able to trick them so easily.
Honestly, I hate working here. They are so weird.
Okay, so this may not have been a scene that we were expecting, but it turned out to be one of the most impactful moments of Captain America's Civil War. James Rhodes has always been one of those side characters that doesn't make much of a difference to the overall narrative of the film, but he was a valuable member of the MCU, especially because of his involvement in the Iron Man movies. You must be familiar with the saying, you don't really know the value of something until it's gone. That's exactly why the moment where War Machine gets blasted by Vision really hits hard. I personally was shocked when I understood how much I actually cared for the character, and seeing Iron Man immediately abandon his mission to catch Captain America in order to save Rhodes doubled down on that point. I was so glad to see him survive this one, and yet Iron Man blasting Falcon away was totally justified. He should have just let that blast hit his wings instead. I mean, I'm sure he would have survived that kind of hit.
Read vitals. Sorry.
You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years. People running tests, taking my blood. coming into my cell.
Just like Thor wasn't the only one who could lift his hammer, even Steve Rogers wasn't the only one who deserved the title of Captain America. This was such an appalling revelation because all of this time we had another man who could have continued to serve his country as a hero and save countless lives, but instead of that, he gets rewarded with torturous experimentation and being thrown in jail for 30 years.
They put my ass in jail for 30 years, taking my blood, coming into my cell.
Isaiah Bradley was a key figure during the Korean War and helped liberate a prison camp, but for him to be wronged so badly was a grave injustice. More than anything else, what sense does it make to imprison your best soldier? Like, this man could have been your trump card in each and every battle, and he deserved to be treated as a hero. What really sells this scene is Carl Lumley's amazing performance as he puts in his heart and soul to express the frustration and disappointment that he had to live with, all because he was willing to lay down his life for his country. Well, at least Sam made sure to build that statue for Isaiah so that people could remember him for what he truly was.
For the next 30 years, they experimented on me, trying to figure out why the serum worked.
I knew if I returned to Forest, but it broke my heart to put that tumor in her head. What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Normally, Kurt Russell would make for the perfect father figure, but this role as Ego most definitely wasn't meant to be that way. First half of the second Guardians of the Galaxy film gave us much to root for as Peter Quill was finally reunited with his father after all these years. However, the shocker came in right towards the end when Ego revealed that he not only gave cancer to his mom, but also spreads across the universe as one. You can only imagine how devastating it must have been for Star-Lord to learn that the reason he couldn't spend time with his mom was because of his dad. The worst part was that you couldn't see any kind of remorse in Ego's eyes. It was almost as if he'd just taken care of a minor inconvenience. Can you even imagine if Vin Diesel was playing this character instead of Groot? Bro would have brought out the whole Fast and Furious gang to teach Ego a lesson. But wait a second, Ego is technically his family, and you can never turn your back on family. That's quite the conundrum, isn't it?
My life, my love, my lady is the sea.
Same person. I mean, it's a little unnatural.
Yep, this was the moment that gave birth to the multiverse in the MCU. Well, you could say this made things worse for the franchise because of the convoluted storylines and general lack of quality, but hey, there's only so much a guy on YouTube can say, right? The most shocking aspect about this sequence is obviously the Kang reveal, because this is our first time meeting the character, and we're instantly just supposed to accept him as a guy who made the TVA. At first, I had a hard time understanding how Kang was able to do such a thing, but then things became messy really fast as Sylvie lost her mind and took Kang's life, thus opening up the multiverse and allowing the MCU to now use as many characters as they want. I still don't understand why she would make such a reckless decision, especially after all the convincing that the real Loki presented to her, but I suppose certain actions need to happen to move the plot further.
Why aren't we seeing this the same way?
Because you can't trust, and I can't be trusted. Wait.
This wasn't an easy scene to watch, and I totally stand with Tony for what he did to Bucky and Steve after that. If we're to simply look at the sequence from the perspective of the big reveal, this was probably a bigger moment than the leaking of the Pandora Papers. Like, it was always a sensitive topic when it came to Iron Man's parents, but to see that the Winter Soldier was the one responsible for their assassination got me gasping in the cinema halls, just like all the other audience members. What's worse was that Steve even knew about this, but chose to keep it a secret from Tony. This is not cool at all, especially considering that the two characters had started to get over their early disagreements in the movie. The battle that followed was expected, but now that I look back at the film, I think the revelation hit a lot harder than anything else. Damn you, Zemo. You really managed to get Iron Man where it hurt the most.
This isn't gonna change what happened. I don't care. He killed my mom.
Unyana wekumkani usholanishwa kakhulu ubashenga.
It It was only apt to kick off my top 10 by honouring one of the modern legends in Chadwick Boseman. The world was devastated to hear the heartbreaking news of the one and only Black Panther leaving the world, but everyone had to move on, so we got Wakanda Forever in 2022. While I always maintain that Shuri will never be able to do justice to such an iconic role, I'll admit that the opening funeral scene took everyone by surprise. Yes, they had to find a way to play in the loss of T'Challa, but I didn't expect them to start the movie off with the funeral itself. I guess it was the MCU trying to pay its respects to a life gone too soon, so I'll give them props for that. Man, the whole vibe of this sequence really hit hard with the solemn silence. It sent chills down my spine.
Omnyama I Black Panther. Unyana wekumkani usholanishwa kakulu ubashenga.
The stone demands a sacrifice.
Of what?
In order to take the stone, you must lose that which you love. A soul for a soul.
Normally, you'd find any act from Thanos somewhat predictable, but to see him sacrifice his own daughter for the sake of an Infinity Stone was a bit much. This wasn't because of him throwing away Gamora, but because of the fact that she was his most valuable person. The Soul Stone requires a sacrifice, and that too of your most treasured possession, so it was a bit shocking to see Thanos having some kind of humanity inside him. He was genuinely sad to do what he had to do, and even though that'll never be any kind of justification for such an action, it does come across as a total shocker. It's not like I felt any sympathy for him or anything like that, but I was definitely confused as to why a person with love for his daughter would want to wipe out half of the universe. I guess he really had issues expressing his feelings, didn't he?
Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. After the war, S.H.I.E.L.D. was founded, and I was recruited. The new Hydra grew, a beautiful parasite.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier has always been looked on as the closest to a non-comic book film as an MCU project could get, and there are lots of reasons that justify this statement. One of them is the big Hydra reveal that both Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff learned from Arnim Zola's archives. Just when you thought that Hydra was down and out for the count, you learned that they'd been hiding in plain sight. The analogy of this organization growing like a parasite within S.H.I.E.L.D. was pretty accurate, and it got the audience members hyped for the world being built by the MCU. Remember that this was still a relatively fresh time for the franchise, so revelations like these really enhanced their standing in the market. See, it was stuff like this that made the MCU so memorable. The carefully structured storylines, the twists, the character arcs, and all the subplot. They all had you hooked, but these creators aren't really making them like they used to before.
Is this little display meant to insinuate that you can throw me off the roof?
You're right. It's not.
Hey, Lamar.
It wasn't me!
The funny thing about this show, amongst many others, is that they're trying to make John Walker look like an irredeemable murderer for avenging his friend Lamar, while also trying to make you feel sympathy for a bunch of flag smashers who want to claim countless lives just because a spoiled brat can't deal with the world. Well, we can discuss the quality of the show another time, but for now, I just want to focus on how the world was shaken when they saw the new Captain America killing his enemy using the same shield that Steve Rogers was known for. It made him look dangerous for sure, and the overall direction of the sequence indefinitely made it look a lot more ominous than it actually was. The minimal use of dialogue from John's end also added to the intensity of the scene and made it a super impactful moment for the whole show.
It's Wanda.
Wanda. Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
Never before have I seen a moment that everyone was hyped for to be ended so easily. Like the way the promos were going for Multiverse of Madness, everyone was expecting to see new characters popping into the MCU, and they did in the form of the Illuminati. You had a new version of Captain Marvel, the female Captain America, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, and the man himself, Professor X. We were all hoping for these characters to get further involved in the MCU, but Wanda clearly had other plans and ended all of their hopes within just the one battle. This may have been a cool fight, but it totally ruined the moment for fans everywhere and also undermined the abilities of legacy characters such as Charles Xavier. Like, come on. This is the master of telekinesis, and he gets outdone by a red witch within a matter of seconds? And the smartest man in the universe literally gives Wanda the hint she needed to end Black Bolt? Come on. It sucked, but that's exactly why it came across as such a shocker.
Grab my hand.
No.
If you told me that I could go back in time and have Hawkeye get sacrificed instead of Black Widow, then I would have done it in a heart. I love Scarlett Johansson, which means Natasha Romanoff will always have a special place in my heart. So seeing her take the fall for the Soul Stone in Avengers Endgame was brutal for me to watch. Yes, Hawkeye is also a legacy character for the MCU now, but I think I speak for everyone when I say that Natasha should have been the one to survive. Okay, just forget about the fact that I'm a simp, okay? Black Widow has had a lot more to contribute to the MCU as a character, and she deserved to be a part of that final showdown just as much as any of the other Avengers. Her sacrifice was definitely crucial, but it hurt us all immensely.
Tell my family I love them.
You tell him yourself.
Forget who you are. What are you talking about?
It's okay. I'm gonna come and find you, and I'll explain everything.
Okay, but what if that doesn't work? What if that doesn't work? What if we can't remember you? I don't want to do that.
But it'll be okay. I promise.
Oh boy, this one really hits me in the feels. Spider-Man is a legendary character, and it's hard for people not to know who he is. Peter Parker, on the other hand, does his best to keep his identity a secret, but even then, his close ones, such as MJ and Ned, know of his secret. They're essentially his emotional backbone, so when Peter chose to have his identity erased from everyone's memory, we feared the worst, and it came true soon enough. Imagine seeing two lovers standing right in front of each other, and one of them has no idea who the other is. It's heartbreaking to watch, but Peter knew what he signed up for, so he had to deal with the consequences. What's even more shocking is the fact that he chose not to tell MJ the truth because he probably wanted the reveal to be more genuine.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker, and I like a coffee.
Is there anything else?
No.
Yes, we were waiting for this moment right from Age of Ultron, and it took 4 years for the makers to finally turn our dreams into a reality. I'd say that Thanos easily overpowering the likes of Iron Man and Thor was pretty shocking too, considering how in Infinity War, Tony Stark fought him well and the God of Thunder almost took his life. However, the main focus is on Steve Rogers picking up Mjolnir and using it to his advantage against the Mad Titan. It was an epic reveal that had the crowd going crazy, and even though it was a shocking moment, it couldn't have come at a better time. Bro even stuck a pose as if to say, yeah, this is what you guys wanted, didn't ya? Well, I did just mention how Thor almost ended Thanos in this film, but he did manage to snap his fingers even with Stormbreaker lodged inside his chest, so this one definitely counts as a shocker. So, look, we all knew that something bad was going to happen, but none of us expected to see an outcome that literally saw half the universe just vanish into thin air. Not just that, Peter Parker's vanishing act was super emotional, especially with the way he desperately held onto Iron Man for comfort right before he went poof.
I don't feel so good.
And for the #1 entry for the most shocking Marvel scene of all time, we have She-Hulk twerking. Nah, that scene doesn't deserve the #1 spot for anything. Here's my real chart topper. Yep, this was a massive influx of joy, followed by a massive outflux of tears. None of us wanted to see Iron Man leave us, but the moment where he got the Infinity Stones from Thanos and ended it all for the Mad Titan will forever remain a peak MCU moment. The shock came later when we saw him succumb to the injury sustained from pulling off the snap. I mean, the freaking Hulk almost lost an arm while snapping his fingers, so a mortal such as Tony Stark never really stood a chance, did he? Even then, he went ahead with it and gave us the ultimate sacrifice, and all of us were completely saddened to see our favorite Marvel character go away. We love you, 3000 Tony. We really wish you were still here to see the MCU in the right direction.
You won, Mr. Stark. You won it. You did it, sir. You did it. I'm sorry, Tony.
Hope you like this video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.